Oh my god.
Oh
There's
my
no chance. There is no chance.
Oh,
No,
what?
no way.
Shut
No, there's no.
up.
Ah, come on.
Oh my god. Oh my god. What?
There's no chance.
Way. Oh, seriously, no, there's no way.
No.
You're not entertaining it.
What? No way. Oh my. Yep. So, turns out the news is true. Pendulum have decided to release more music. Don't worry, it's not as if it's taken them 10 years. Listen, okay, Pendulum are my favorite group on the friggin' earth. I love them to bits. I always have done, I always will do. As soon as I heard this news the other day, I was sat in my car and I was literally shaking with excitement. So, here we are. I didn't know what to do with this information whatsoever, so I thought I'd just make a video and I would make a little tutorial explaining how to make that amazing high synthy sound in the song Driver. The first time I ever made a Pendulum synth sound was in Reason 5 when I was 14 years old. Any OG Reason 5 users out there, shout out to you lot. A few years later, obviously, software has developed muchly since then, so I'm now using Ableton, and I'm using Massive and Serum and a few others. So here comes the tutorial. If you like what you see, please like and subscribe, and I will be back with more. If you want to subscribe, that'd be amazing, because I'm a first-time YouTuber, so hey ho!
Noob.
Enjoy the tutorial. So the sound that I'm going to create today is it's that crazy moving lead sound that we all know and love from them. So for this video, I'm going to be using Ableton Live, and I'm going to be using Native Instruments Massive. This I've found is probably the easiest bit of software to make this synth on. It's actually a really easy patch. And what makes it is the audio effects inside of Ableton. So throwing a few of these on, well, you'll see at the end, you'll see. So if you have Massive and you want to follow along with this video, the best way to do this is to drag Massive itself over to the left side of the screen, and then just drag Ableton out of the way and have me here on the right hand side of your screen. I've always found that's the best way to make patches. So grab yourself your instance of Massive, do this, and let's go. So it's best to start off here with the no preset loaded thing when you just load it up. Don't initialize it, because that'll make it sort of the closest to the sound. It's already kind of a lot of the way there. So right now we have this, you know, Massive sort of initialized sound, but yeah. So the first thing we're going to want to do is come here to the first oscillator, and we're going to want to kind of detune this a little bit. So I'm going to bring it down to like -12. I'm going to leave all of these settings the same pretty much, but I'm going to come over and open my voicing section. We're going to turn on the pitch cutoff and bring this right the way over to the right hand side, where we're going to bring this down to probably 0.5. I'm going to bump this unisono up to 2, and then we're going to come over here into the oscillator section, where we are going to turn the glide time up a little bit so we can get that classic kind of gliding sound. So let's say about here. I forgot this step here in the voicing tab. To be able to use your glide, you want to turn it on to monophone, and then hopefully, there we go, just down a little. By the way, your no preset loaded patch might be different to mine when you first load it up, or if it is initialized, then it's not too much of a problem. You'll still get the sound at the end. If there's anything that's slightly off or different, just you know, copy this and you'll see where we're going with it. For instance, I think this is normally on rate. Just flick it over to equal. Next step is we're going to come over here to the vibrato section, and we're going to change the depth of this. We're going to keep all of this the same, but just change the depth up a tiny bit, because too much depth makes it kind of go crazy. So we want it right there, so it's probably on like the 3rd little pin. So next stage after the depth is we're going to come up here to the EQ, and we're going to flick it on with this little blue light. We're going to bring the boost down a little bit, let's say sort of like 10 o'clock, sort of like here. And then we're going to change this frequency, we're going to turn it up a little. And we're going to do it to about maybe 2 o'clock, something like that. Or just wherever sounds good to you. Now, as for the patch, that's pretty much it. You don't need to change much else. I know it sounds pretty horrible at the moment, but the rest of the sound comes from the live devices in Ableton. So, the next thing we're going to add is an EQ. You can just use the EQ8 if you want to. I have Pro Q. If you have Pro Q, use Pro Q. Just take out some of this top end. We're going to boost it all up later on anyway, and we will play with this as we go. So the next stage is we're going to add a chorus. There you are. We're going to turn this high pass down to, let's say, about 400, somewhere around there. So we're going to change the amount here down to 0.84. And we're going to change this rate to 2.86. I've used a chorus before on it, and for me, these just sound the best. The feedback is going to come up to about 60%. We're getting there with it now. And then we're going to go ahead and grab an OTT, and we're going to whack it in just below our chorus. So with this not being a bass sound, it's a lead sound, we're going to take out like all of the low end completely. Okay, we're going to boost the mids to like 3 o'clock, somewhere right here. And then we're going to go ahead and bring this time down to around 10%. Saturator. And we are going to add our hot tubes, and we're just going to whack it here onto the end. I like to bring the drive right the way up. Like I said, this won't be the same as yours, but I like to bring it up to like sort of 9.5. Well, 9.71's perfect. This drop down section here, just click this, and we're going to add a hard curve. And again, play with the output as much as you want, but I'm going to bring this down to sort of like -0.8. The last thing that I want to add to this is a brick wall. So just come down to your compressor section, grab yourself a brick wall, and we'll chuck that just straight onto the end. Something that I like to do with this sound as well is just to add another EQ onto the end. So I'm going to add a Pro Q. And I've found that if you mess around with like the 10K kind of range up here, it can add some stuff to it. So we can bring this up a little bit with the bell, and we can mess with the Q, bring that down. The final thing that I'm going to do to make it sound more like the track is I'm going to add a reverb, and I'm going to bring up the dry wet, and you'll know what I'm talking about when I say this does sound like the track a little. I'm going to bring this decay time down actually to like a few hundred milliseconds. I don't want it to be too kind of too reverby anyway. I have a bit of a delay with my keyboard, otherwise I'd try and play the MIDI for it, but I'm just going to have to draw it in and have a little play around with it. Okay, so this is half an hour later. I have made the MIDI, and I have gone ahead and changed a few things. Literally nothing too crazy, so your sound should still sound the same. The only thing I've done really is just I've added a sausage fattener in, brought the fatness up in the color a little bit just to make it boost out a little bit more. So yeah, it's a super nice loud lead sound. The other thing that I did was I came back down to our original EQ, and I brought it up to 3,500 hertz. So I brought in a lot of that sound. I realized before I actually brought it way down, way too far down. So I brought it back up again to 3,500, and it just sounds ace where it is. So I went ahead and I threw this little beat together. It's really, really simple. It literally took me all of 10 minutes to do. It's just a simple beat, and then I've got a bass patch in the background just to give some context for the finished sound. So please do excuse how terrible it is, but this is the kind of thing that you can make out of this sound. in case you're wondering what this bass patch is, by the way, this is something that I whipped up quite a while ago. It's a serum patch, and this is what it sounds like on its own. Thanks so much for watching. If you want to see more tutorials and stuff like that, like I said, I've got this big first video coming up. I've got a little series coming up as well. So if you want to see all this stuff, then here's a little teaser for the first video.
And this right here is how gonna go down.